Trump said, "OMG, I hope no one throws McDonald's at me, specifically not a Big Mac, large fry, 20-piece McNugget, 3 apple pies, and a Diet Coke. I'd have to catch them all in my mouth like % are Donald Trump." I'm good.
I'm totally good, no thanks.
Picture this. Jimmy Fallon, armed with nothing but a microphone and an arsenal of dad jokes, facing off against the biggest, orangest villain in political history. It's David versus Goliath. But instead of a slingshot, Jimmy's got puns. And boy, did he land some zingers. Fallon was in uncharted political humor terrain, and the audience was clamoring for more. How does a mild-mannered comic get ready to make fun of the most divisive president in contemporary history? The solution entails using a wig, a mirror, and an abundance of orange makeup. Something Trump-sized was about to happen in Jimmy's world of late-night joy. Fallon found it increasingly difficult to ignore the hilarious goldmine, as the orange threat was making headlines everywhere. Now was the moment for our reluctant hero to grab the mic of fate and launch himself into the political roasting scene. Trump presented content on a silver platter with his most recent antics. Comedians were inundated with material from the former president, ranging from courtroom dramas to Twitter meltdowns. Jokes flew out of Fallon's writer's room like a windstorm, turning it into a comedic battleground. However, creating the ideal Trump critique is difficult. Fallon and his group had to strike a balance between lightheartedness and criticism. They combed through news footage, analyzing each utterance and motion made by Trump. Punchlines that would elicit laughter and thought from the audience were under intense pressure. Fallon's ability to mimic Trump turned into a secret weapon. We'd spend hours in front of the mirror, getting that perfect pout and learning how to say huge exactly so. It was like getting ready for combat, only that Fallon was spray tanned and wearing a horrible wig in place of armor. When mocking Trump's response to his indictment, the comic didn't hold back. Trump is like, "I didn't do it," Fallon joked. "It was not me. If I did it at all, it was hardly at all." Even the most dishonest attorney would wince at this kind of defense. Fallon's trip from orbit to inner agony was about to take a turn for the better. His tie was untied and his hands were perspiring as he took the platform, little realizing that his first joke would go viral more than a certain former president's commercial endeavors. Fallon cleared his throat anxiously before launching into his opening zinger. There was an unbearable silence for a while. The sound of the crickets chirping was practically audible. I've made a huge mistake," cried Fallon's inner voice as the audience shuffled uneasily in their seats. However, our comedic hero wasn't going to give up so quickly. He resorted to a joke he had made earlier about Trump's hair out of desperation. "Speaking of things that don't belong on this planet," he joked, "what's the deal with that thing on Trump's head?" The room's vibe suddenly changed as the audience burst into laughing. Riding this rush of self-assurance, Fallon began tweeting more quickly than President Trump does at 3 in the morning. He made light of Trump's legal issues, his weight, and even his golf technique. "Trump's lawyers are working overtime," joked Fallon, trying to figure out how to plea bargain with a judge and a bucket of KFC at the same time.
My question is, what could they possibly dig up that would be a red flag for Trump? It's like,
This person only committed arson, not a deal breaker.
Coincidentally, Trump chose to become a member of the party, never one to let a jab go unpunished. The former president unleashed an irate tweet. It seems that Jimmy Fallon is a humorous guy. WTF. Fallon's humorous fire was only fueled by Trump's rant on social media. Seizing the opportunity, Fallon read aloud the tweet in his accurate portrayal of Trump. He continued to act in character, saying, "Look at that, folks. I'm live tweeting my own roast. I'm the best at it, hands down. Trust me."
% are Donald Trump. I'm good.
I'm totally good, no thanks.
Fallon was having a blast, and the crowd was laughing out loud. Fallon seemed increasingly at ease in his role as the comic hero facing off against the villain on par with Donald Trump with every joke. He addressed every topic, starting with Trump's lexicon. "I have the best phrases. I know more words than anyone else. I'm a verbal thesaurus on wheels." From his eating habits, Trump's idea of a balanced diet is a Big Mac in each hand, to his thesaurus, a very, very good thesaurus. You might have thought Fallon had run out of Trump-related fodder when he brought out the big guns. What followed transformed a straightforward comedic segment into an uncontrollably contagious fit of giggles. Fallon's portrayal of Trump was so accurate that it seemed as though the Orange Man had personally entered the studio. Fallon's grumpy, Trumpy voice had the audience in fits of laughter. He perfectly captured the pouty expression and heightened hand movements that we are all too familiar with. Fallon nevertheless didn't stop there. When he pulled out the props, they really made an impression. Imagine an empty podium emblazoned with the words Trump's debate skills. The crowd went crazy. Next came the Trump excuse generator, a large wheel that Fallon twirled to produce gems like "I barely knew the guy" and fake news.
Well, it turns out Trump is using a special excuse generator to help him get out of these things. Let me show you how it works.
Fallon played a montage of Trump's most memorable moments that made people laugh non-stop. There was the occasion when Trump stared straight into the sun during an eclipse. There were the times he attempted to sip water with 2 hands. And there were his outrageous dancing routines at rallies. With every clip Fallon riffed, his quips growing funnier by the moment. Fallon's writers were working long hours behind the scenes. The comedy train continued to roll along as they passed out fresh joke ideas on cue cards. It was similar to witnessing a masterclass in comedy in action. This is where things got really fascinating though. Fallon began teasing people on both sides of the political spectrum. In jest, he remarked, "Biden's so old, his first pet was a dinosaur." Regardless of political inclinations, everyone was in stitches due to the bipartisan humor. Laughter spread throughout the studio. It caught on like wildfire among the audience members. People were wiping tears from their faces, gripping their sides, and holding their breath in between laughs. A straightforward Trump roast had become a full-fledged comedic spectacle thanks to Fallon. Fallon's smile widened, but the laughter from the crowd subsided. He was not done yet. He had one more move. He questioned, "What if Trump was here right now?" The crowd leaned forward, curious to watch Jimmy's reaction to a fictitious altercation with the outgoing president. Fallon adjusted his tie and cleared his throat. In his finest announcer voice, he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump." Cheers and jeers broke out in the studio when Fallon shifted to his Trump portrayal.
The chance to be Trump's VP right now, people are like, what should I wear to my interview? Antlers or bigger antlers?
Many thanks indeed. I am quite happy to be here. Fallon, as Trump said, "Nobody does late night like me, believe me." Then he turned abruptly to face an empty chair. "Now listen here, you fake news comedian." He pointed at Trump while speaking in his regular voice. As Fallon bounced back and forth, portraying both Trump and himself in this mock roasting, the audience gaped in amazement. Trump Fallon mocked, "Your ratings are so low, even CNN wouldn't hire you." "Well, at least I can read the ratings without my glasses, old man," Real Fallon retorted. Fallon became more incisive in his comebacks as the discussion heated up. "Your hair looks like a cornfield had a baby with a toupee factory," he said. The crowd laughed and gasped, savoring every moment of this hilarious confrontation. Then Fallon delivered a particularly vicious blow. "Trump, you know that I share a shared interest with you. We both became well known on NBC by letting people go. The distinction is that you did it because you couldn't manage the work, whereas I did it for fun." The studio was silent for a moment. Fallon exhibited concern as he broke his usual demeanor. Had he crossed a line, you could hear a pin drop for a little moment. Abruptly, the crowd broke into raucous laughter and cheers. Fallon unveiled his hidden weapon right when the audience believed he had hit the pinnacle of humor.
Yeah, they're vetting a short list of candidates. Yeah, you got to appreciate the irony of a convicted felon running a background check.
Could this roast become a national sensation with just a guitar? Fallon took out his reliable 6-string and began to pluck a well-known song. He smiled and said, "I've got a little song for you all, starting off with a catchy tune." The lyrics combined all of the night's best Trump gags into one entertaining package, and they were pure gold. "Oh, Donnie Diapers, with your crazy hair, you tweet all day, but nobody cares."
Trump said, "OMG, I hope no one throws McDonald's at me, specifically not a Big Mac, large fry, 20-piece McNugget, 3 apple pies, and a Diet Coke. I'd have to catch them all in my mouth like..."
Fallon sang. The audience laughed and swayed at the performance. He reached the chorus, and then something amazing happened. Individuals began to join in, their voices resonating with comedy and harmony across the studio. Fallon was not finished though. There was one more move in his repertoire. Abruptly, a large screen appeared behind him, displaying the faces of other hosts of the late night show. "Hey Jimmy, room for one more," Stephen Colbert yelled. It quickly became an extravagant roast collaboration before anyone realized what had happened. Turning over the mic, each presenter contributed a verse to Fallon's Trump song. Trevor Noah made fun of the former president's notorious tan, while Seth Meyers added a sharp remark about Trump's vocabulary. With every stanza, the song became more and more absurd, culminating in a hilarious catharsis crescendo. Fallon put down his guitar and inhaled deeply as the last notes died away. The audience quieted down and stopped laughing. "You know, we've had our fun tonight," he remarked, his voice growing increasingly serious. "We're all Americans at the end of the day, though. We're all in this together, left or right."